Good morning, sir. Is it morning or afternoon? It's morning, I believe.
Good morning to you and good morning to all the viewers at home.
Thank you, sir. Just tell us a bit about Region 5. You being the CEO. We understand you're the CEO of Region 5. This is the wing under African Union Sports Council. You being the CEO, what is Region 5? For those who don't know what Region 5 is, they're asking.
Thank you. So, African Union Sports Council Region 5 is a sports body that is charged with the responsibility of coordinating all forms of sport, physical education, physical activity, and recreation in the Southern African region through the 10 members of Region 5. Let me start for those of the viewers at home to say that the African Union is divided the continent into 5 regions. So North Africa is Region 1, West Africa is Region 2, Central Africa is Region 3, East Africa is Region 4, and us in Southern Africa here we are Region 5. And the members of Region 5 is Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So our business is done through the ministries responsible for sport as well as the sports councils and sports commissions as they are called in other countries. And we serve the purpose of the mandate of African Union under the Agenda 2063, which is the Africa that we want, where we want to see Africa that is governed well, Africa that is prosperous, Africa that is with blue ocean economies, Africa whose economy is people-driven. So the responsibility we have as sport is to harness that agenda for sport in our region. So we work with the ministries of sport to ensure that there is training of coaches, training of administrators, training of team officials. There's teaching of physical education in schools. So therefore our ministries are going to work with the ministries of education to ensure that there is teaching of physical education in schools. But also we host games and other events such as annual sports awards, we run marathons, and the famous games is the ones that they held even in Zambia in 2012. At that time they were called Zone 6 games because that was before we changed from Zone 6 to African Union Sports Council.
Alright. Well, so thank you for giving us an insightful background of what Region 5 is all about. I've just learned today that actually Region 1 is North Africa, I don't know Region 2 somewhere. So what have been your success stories from the time of inception up to now?
I would need the whole day to talk about my success stories.
Okay.
There's been a lot
just run me through in a minute.
There's been a lot of success stories. First of all, we set up structures of sport. We are the only region that is called regional sports confederations. People know of COSAFA, people know of FIBA Zone 6, and so on. We are the only region that can set up these structures, including COSAFA. Because we realize the need for a regional body that coordinates the national federations. So we have confederations, 23 of them now, with sports like football, basketball, volleyball, athletics, netball, and so on. The other milestone has been the games. The games were written as a tactic to stimulate sports development in countries. The idea was that, for example, there were no facilities that were of world standards in our countries. And in 1999, our ministers, they met in Angola and Cabinda, and they drew a strategy that was taken to the Council of Ministers in 2000 to approve the hosting of the events. And the recommendation was taken even to our heads of state. So our heads of state met on the 14th of August in 2001 in Blantyre, Malawi, and they approved the SADC protocol on information, culture, and sport. And in that protocol, one of the things that they mentioned in Article 24 was that the state parties and the countries needed to establish periodic games. So that we saw this birth of what is now called G5 games. The first games were held in 2004 in Mozambique. And notable athletes came out of that as a legacy. The likes of Collins Wilson was in the very first games we held in Mozambique, and they went on to become a legend in the national. We've had more cast as part of these games. Wade Vanike from South Africa is going on to become a world champion. Nigel Amos from Botswana went on to become a world junior champion. Patson Daka was part of the Team Zambia that was in Zimbabwe in 2014 at the Division 5 games, and is now currently playing for Leicester City in the UK. And just recently, Christian Loma from Namibia, an 18-year-old that went ahead from 2018 games in Botswana, is now one of the big names in sports. So these are some of the nationals, not to talk about the number of infrastructure facilities, stadiums, swimming pools, these tracks that have been constructed in our various countries. A lot of coaches, trained, technical officials, referees and judges, athletes themselves, like I said. So the milestone is huge. But what is also key is we've managed as a region to bring out the economy of sport, to bring out the value of sport, especially in tourism. Look, we are here in the city. The hotels are occupied by people from sport from all over the region, and that is part of what our sport does. And those are some of the things that we've achieved over the years.
Right. We actually saw when the Guest of Honor speech was being read yesterday. Personally, being a Zambian, I knew for the first time that actually Patson Daka is a product of kind of investment there and the rest. I didn't know that. Yeah. Wow, that sounds like a good agenda. So now, since they say good news always comes to the bottom, where have been your challenges? What have you faced as Region 5, and where do you think are the areas of development that you need either to succeed, to improve in the success that you highlighted, or maybe there are other avenues that you wish to embark on? The reason why we're here.
So I always answer the question by saying the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity is attitude.
Attitude. Can you say that again?
I'm saying the difference between an obstacle or a challenge and an opportunity is attitude. Because every obstacle creates an opportunity, and every opportunity is with obstacles. But it's the attitude that matters. So I don't look at what you've experienced as impediments or challenges, but I see them as the opportunities that we've grown along the way. Economy, money will never be the same. Money will never be enough to do anything. So sport will always have challenges in terms of resources, but the ability then to utilize, for example, partnerships. You saw even in this room here, we've had the likes of IOC, UNESCO, Tafis, COSAFA, we've had a business community. This is also to look into how to leverage the limited resources that we have. The infrastructure that we have. You see, if you go around right now, most of our countries, you'll find that if you check Zimbabwe, Namibia, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, just to name a few, their football stadiums in particular, they have been, over the time banned by CAF and FIFA. So the issue of standards, maintenance of our facilities and infrastructure continues to be a challenge, but we're engaging with the various governments looking into how do we create public-private partnerships, how do we find ways of commercializing some of these and getting private partners, private sector to be involved in the maintenance and day-to-day running of these facilities, because they've got running costs which are high, and if there's no usage, these facilities, especially stadiums, can be very expensive. So these are some of the challenges that we experience. So of course, we run junior games, youth games. In cheating will always be an issue that will face us. Sometimes people want to win at all costs, so they start manipulating the ages of these young athletes. But again, we found a solution to it. The accreditation system that we use, for example, just with an athlete tracking system, so that we can weed out any of the malcontents that may happen. So these are just a few of the learning points that we had. I'm repeating to say the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity is an attitude. So our attitude as Region 5 is that we don't follow standards, we set them.
Wow, that's great. In UK, that's British, of which I'm sure you and I know, that Britain is one country that actually started football. The game of football, as we know today, started from Britain. And today, I have the statistics that it's actually just the sports, football itself, actually accounts for good GDP that you bring to the country, ranging from employment and other things. So now, as Region 5, mentioning your success stories that you just highlighted, producing the likes of Leicester player who's Batson Daka and the rest that you mentioned, and of course, considering the challenges that you're going to be facing, what are some of the aggressive agendas you have on the table? Not necessarily to make it big, but at least to make it conducive and maybe ensure that the champions that you're creating, the players that you're creating, actually stay here and create, make Region 5, or rather the continent of Africa, an attractive place where players could come all the way from Brazil to come and play here, and like you create someone goes to Leicester City.
Yeah.
Are you just going to be exporting?
No. First of all, look, we're living in a global village.
Yes.
So it must be free. It's a village where someone has
But those are running away. Now we hear Saudi Arabia is giving headache to England because it's offering a lot of money.
Yeah, I know, but the point I'm raising is that as countries, part of what we stand for, I mean, it's like in any business, you work in what they call a perfect competition. So a perfect competition setup is where prices are driven by demand, and demand is also an issue of quality of the product. So you cannot force someone to buy your product unless you make it attractive to them. So we will do that. But our African agenda for the Africa we want is such that we want to limit. Let it not be a force or an unavoidable force for our athletes to want to go elsewhere. Let it be a choice of going there. We don't want to. I mean, take for example, you're right. This agenda we're talking about. By exporting one player, we have exported jobs. The job of a coach, the job of a masseur, the job of a psychologist, the job of a facility manager, the job of a doctor. And so they've gone elsewhere where they have money as well, rather than keeping one athlete here and create jobs for these people. So we are very cognizant of the pros and cons. But in any perfect market, you also look at yourself and say, are you at the level of competing with some of the big players in the market? So how do we grow our brand? And here is the answer for that we're doing now. Number one, we are focusing on what we're calling four social outcomes. Yeah, so it's a yes and from the states are very Norwegian. There are isolated instances where you face a situation where a leader may not understand, may not take up responsibility. But we're putting up systems where in organized.
What system are those?
First of all, every new minister that is appointed in every country, I go and meet with the fiscal with what I call buying the code of the action plan. Yeah. So we induct the minister from the foundation issues, bring them over. We have a whole matrix of decisions, all decisions made from 1999. We have them. So we walk the minister through. So I spend a day or so with the minister, walking that minister through the systems. Number two, we've got policies and regulations. And these policies are not implemented because a minister feels like implementing it or not. The ministers themselves have made it very clear that this is an institutionalized policy from the region. Whoever comes in fits into the region and ideas with the policy. That's why the games have been running up to now. That's why meetings like this these are mandatory meetings. As designed by the ministers, and countries are going to comply. They have put what is called compliance principles. There's a penalty for failure to adhere to set the standards and set the running programs that are approved. So all these are systems that are meant to ensure there's continuity. There's a penalty. If a minister does not attend a meeting, they pay $5,000. There's a penalty. If a director of sport does not attend a statutory meeting, $2,500. If a country fails to host the Region 5 games, there is a penalty of $1 million, which is charged. And this is to make sure we run an institution that is not run from emotions. It's an institution that is codified. It's a systemic institution. It's an organism. It's organic. It breathes. So why I was saying yes, it's a function sometimes of our officials in the various countries. Their ability or maybe level to fill in the minister. Because look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the minister. The minimum amount I spend is a day, like I'm saying, to that, but the rest of it is done by the official of the country. So they play a role.
Just there, CEO, before I continue, I'm interested on one point here. You say there's a penalty fee if the country fails to host a Region 5 game.
Yes.
Is it the same? We see people battling it out. They want to host Africa, they want to host World Cup.
Yeah.
Why would someone fail to host after they go through all those processes? Or is it different?
No, the Region 5 games don't need to host. They are mandatory. It's mandatory with the rotation. Okay. Up to now, I can tell you that who is going to host even in 2050. 2024 we are going to Namibia, 2026 we are going to Mozambique, 2028 we are in South Africa, 2030 we are in Eswatini.
I was in Malawi. Yes. Mozambique was named to host. What are you saying?
Yeah, we had because now in our regulations it explains that if there is what are called unforeseen circumstances, which could be natural disasters and so on. So Mozambique has come to us and as a aid of Council of Ministers. We are all aware that Mozambique there's been 2 cities wiped down totally by cyclone in Mozambique. There's also a lot of instability in the province. So because of that, Mozambique has asked that we give them a bit of time to recover. So that's why they have swapped with the next post. And that is allowed in the regulations. It's in limited circumstances. Again, it's part of the brother. We cannot expect country to overlook their lives that need to be saved. So that is the point. That's the reason why you see that the head of state was in Malawi, the head of state was in Mozambique, and the games were headed over to Mozambique when in Malawi. But there have been these issues that will come. But I'm just saying, we know who's going to work until 2050. So our games, we don't, people don't bid towards. Why? Because they are a strategy. They stimulate development. There was no swimming pool whatsoever, an Olympic-sized swimming pool in Malawi. Today, Malawi could host any swimming competition, even the World Championships. It's a strategy that we use as games. Zambia, OIDC did not have a swimming pool in 2012. NASDAQ did not have a tennis complex, did not have a netball complex. But because of the Olympic Games, Coloma Stadium received an upgrade. Even roads received an upgrade around the area. That is a strategy that we use for hosting. So our games are not just medals and fun and pomp and fanfare. No, our games are a tool towards development. That is why I was talking about economic benefits. They are not just about medals. Like I'm saying, you go to Zimbabwe where it was the games, you go to Lesotho. The people of a place called Rapokolana in Lesotho, which is about 30 kilometers away from about 8 kilometers away from Maseru, the city. That place was impassable. There was a 13-kilometer stretch of road that was impassable. But because Region 5 games are a tool, a conduit towards development, as I speak to you right now, you can go and drive with a Toyota Vitz on that road. The people can now sell their produce to the city. The people now have public transport that can take them where they have failed to do that. That is what we talk about when we're saying sport must change lives. So if Lesotho was to bid to host, they were not going to be able to bid. And those people were not going to have their progress in the space of time that we had. Yes, government had their plans, most probably, to still address that place. But because of the games, the development was sped up. So the swimming pool that had been run down for years, because of the games today, as we speak, that community can benefit. There was no power in that area because of vandalism. But because of the G5 games, the community now has amenities. That is what we're talking about. It's different from any other competition where people want to see good stadiums, fill up, people pack their bags and go. We don't pack our bags and go. That is why we give each country a 10 as a rotation. That it must be your 10 now for us to come and stimulate development and also develop and so on. So we are not just saying let's go host good games and go. It is a development element. But I was talking about the 4 social aspects. Yeah. This was just the economic benefits. We're talking about creating jobs, like I said. Yeah. It's part of the economic benefit. The second benefit for us is the education benefits. Okay. How do we use sport to convey messages? I'm not just talking about physical education, but COVID-19 is here. How do you use sport to make sure people understand social distancing, sanitization, and so on? We use sport, bring them together, create messages. Educate them about environment, educate them about water bodies, educate them about malaria and other things, cholera and all that, and we use sport to do that. But also even physical education in school. That's the second thing. The third social outcome we're looking at is health benefits. How do we ensure that our people fight against non-communicable disease by being active and physically fit? Our budgets right now, if you check the countries, basically all our 10 countries, their budgets, right on top, in the top 6, you're going to see the Ministry of Health having the highest budget. Where is the money going to? It's drugs, medicines, and equipment, and building more hospitals. But we're saying in sport, let's build more facilities for physical activity, because our people should be healthy, and reduce the budget of buying drugs and medicines, because people are not sick. We want to prevent people from being sick. That's the third one. Then the last one of our 4 social outcomes is part of why we're here: tourism benefits. Our sport must create both domestic and international tourism. People must move from Dola to Lusaka, from Lusaka to Livingstone, from Livingstone to, and create domestic tourism, but also international tourism. Here we've got over 80 delegates drawn from 9 other countries joining here. Hotels are occupied. They are going to watch the Victoria Falls. We're having a boat cruise tomorrow, and we are creating tourism. But unfortunately, when ministers sit in cabinet, it will be the Minister of Tourism saying, we are doing well in tourism, you see? But it's us who are doing that. Wow. And that's the story we must retell. That's why, for us, we are now even investing in data collection. We are engaging even immigration authorities to say, every entry in the country, can you include a section that says sport? So that when you are feeling that in arrival form, you are telling us, why are you here? Then you tick sport. We can take statistics and show it to people, say, this is the amount of traffic that is coming here for sport. These are the changes we're making. So as Region 5, we're not just here just for, I call it yaka business. No, we're here for serious business, serious social transformation, nation building. We want to contribute to the national development agenda of our countries. So we sit with Zambia and say, what is the new NDP? Okay, National Development Program is looking into food security. Okay, how do we as sport contribute towards food security? We can do that. So this is the discussion we have, and that's the paradigm we're changing. We are looking at what we call it the transformation. How do we transform minds? That's why I started by saying the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity is an attitude. And Africa needs to stay down. Africa cannot continue to be subservient. Africa cannot continue to play second fiddle. Africa has got the means, and the giant in us must rise and show the entire world. We have the resources, whether it's minerals, whether it's flora, fauna, whether it is animals, whether it's water bodies, good climate for agriculture. We have it. What we need is to harness ourselves as Africa, and as Region 5 through the sport sector. We are trying to do that.
All right. You seem to have it all figured out, how you plan to do things. Actually, you seem to have it figured out how you're managing it. So now, you're saying that Africa must rise. We need to rise. I agree with you. How are you going to do this? You need political support from the government.
Yeah, what we need for us is advocacy and awareness. We have political support. The fact that government, heads of state are even allocating a whole minister for sport. What more support do you want? And there is a budget, there is structures, there is sports commissions that are funded. That is support. What sport needs right now is leadership. It needs direction.
Okay.
That is what sport lacks at the moment. Government goodwill is there. Right now, if you are going to be hosting an event, government will give exemptions. Whether it's balls, equipment that needs brought in, cameras for what people will be given exemptions. What more government do you want? What else do you want government to do? Government is even funding teams. We have African Games happening in Ghana next year. We have Olympic Games. Governments are going to be funding those things. Allowances, some have even received diplomatic passports. Others have received pieces of land. This is government. What else do we want us to do? We need leaders in sport. That is what is lacking in sport. We need leaders, and leaders are not managers.
Can you tell us the difference between
managers who look at where the resources will be going to? Leaders think. Leaders think, and leaders are foresighted. Leaders create vision and focus.
Okay.
And that is the difference. That is what you don't have. Let me tell you why. You are not going to be in the Doctors Association if you are not a medical doctor.
Okay.
Even in the Media Association, if you are not a journalist.
Right.
But look at sport. Every person is an expert in sport. Even I'm not saying some jobs are not important, but whether you are an engineer, whether you are a bricklayer, whether you are that, you can be in sport. And it's a frustration for some of us who spent over 18 years in a sports school. I have 5 degrees that I have learned in sport. But you get someone in a position, just because they have a position, they will begin to try to tell. It's like you getting into a theater and they're telling the doctor how to perform a procedure.
So where do we get these managers? Because from my experience, where do we get these managers? From my experience, if people like you put it, these are people that just comes. Maybe let's say let's just narrow it down to the targeted education. You mentioned the likes of Desma, the likes of Patsandaka, who are now playing in Leicester City and the like. They are a product of your concepts in Region 5 and whatever convention and so forth. So, can Patsandaka confide to be edited when you're tired? We have someone in Cameroon who's now the FA president there, the likes of DJ Group. Are you saying that the sport should be managed only by sports people? Or maybe we should have an example?
Mourinho did not play football to any level.
Why is he called a special?
Because he's a leader.
You get me there? Explain.
Yeah. He's not a manager.
Because I've been looking for someone to explain that. Now you have
he's a leader.
Let me tell you why Mourinho is good.
When you have an athlete, when you have an athlete, they don't know how the tartan track was laid in that track, where the granules were bought, the type of paint to mark the lines, the staggering distance. They don't even know. If you ask a top athlete, even if you're going to go and ask Rice and say what's the distance that you use in staggering, she doesn't care. That's not her business.
Just run.
She must come and put a starter block and run. That's not their business. That's the business of a manager. But for the manager to do that, they need a leader. This is the difference. A manager is someone who is able to use resources, which may include financial, material, human resources to achieve the goals, to implement goals. But a leader sets the goals, sets aspirations. A leader doesn't set objectives, he sets up aspirations. Where do we want to go? That's what a leader says. Then he gets managers who should make sure we reach there. So that is what sport needs right now. People that can change the agenda.
Okay.
And set it differently. I was saying about Africans. Africa is full of scrap metal.
Scrap metal?
Yes. Vehicles that have broken down, thank goodness, yes, we've had access to, let me call them affordable vehicles. But some of them, they don't last. They become in our backyard and they become scrap. Where is that rust going? Into our water bodies. What is it doing in our water bodies? It's killing our animals that are in water bodies, fish and other rare species in those bodies. Are we seeing that? Our agricultural land is not producing anymore. Why? Lots of scrap metal. Africa is watching. We've got universities. Our engineers, our doctors are being trained to administer Panadol instead of inventing solutions when there is a pandemic, when there is an outbreak. They must invent solutions. Our sports people are also doing that. They will wait, some of them will wait for IOC, for FIFA, for CAF to give them grants. And you see even people failing to host, to run in, because there's total conflict for wanting to be the president of an FA. Why? Because of FIFA grants. They are not thinking. I'm not saying they don't think, people don't think. I'm saying, please get me right. People must move away from just receiving grants from elsewhere and say, how do we make a fishing line? Not receiving a can of fish.
In short, you're saying your field has been politicized in some sorts.
Not politicized, but has not been codified. Codified. There is no code. Yes, there is no code. So now it's Region 5. Like I said, we don't follow standards, we set them. We have now set what are called minimum eligibility requirements
for you to be a president of the national federation, for you to be secretary general, here is a minimum qualification we expect you to have had. If you don't have it, go to sports school. But we're not chasing you, because we are also using what is called, we are calling it recognition of prior learning. So we look at your experience, we look at your, the level of involvement with it, then we can allow you to now do almost like apprenticeship while you're doing a job, but go to school. We love accountants, we love finance directors, we want engineers in our sport, but let them also understand the context of sport so that they appreciate how the industry runs. Long term, if you ask me, long term, if I was going to stay in this region for longer than what I'm staying, I'm envisaging a region that is called a Region 5 Sports Institute.
Region 5 Sports
Institute. The reason why we choose that institute is to become a regulator and a standards control institute. Just like we have an institute of directors, there is an ethics of a director that is expected. And if you are not a member of the institute of directors, you are not recognized as a director of the institute. So we want this institute to create a code for coaches, a code for technical officials, for administrators, for you to brag and say, I am a member of the Sports Institute of South Africa. Okay. Because you subscribe to the code of ethics that is approved. That is what we want to see. But beyond that, we want to see our sports moving away from amateurish approach. People running a sport association from the boot of the car. No, we must move away from it. Who is going to take us seriously?
All right. CEO, you are the CEO of Region 5. Is this happening? Or maybe I should ask, do you have plans for contests between Region 5, Region 1, just create that tournament to Babeda?
We have actually led the way. Remember I said we don't follow standards. We have even told the AU that we want to see inter-regional games.
Inter-regional games.
Yeah. Where we have teams from Region 5 competing against teams from Region 1, 2, 3, and 4 to create another layer for our competition. The problem we have with us is Africa. We love going to Europe, Asia, Americans to qualify our athletes. It's not a sport reason. People want to go on holiday, pay holiday. No, let's create credible competition in Africa. Credible competition in our region. We are pushing two agendas with the EU. Number one, let's have inter-regional games. Number two, African Games qualification process must happen in the regions, so that every region has got an opportunity to be, to create African Games. But also, every region has an opportunity to create another credible qualification competition for our athletes. Our athletes lack exposure. That's why some of the more talented, they are overruled by a culture shock when we throw them in the big end at some of the major competitions, in spite of their talent, because they don't have. If you go in, you check the NCAA in the US, these are young students that are in university who compete together every time. You then see them at the Olympics. They're peers, they're buddies. They're never overruled by the Olympics because they meet these guys almost every time. Our athletes will get there, and the first thing that they're happy to see is that, oh, I'm in the same lane as Blake. And they're overawed by the occasion. So we need to create. So I've watched a movie called Shaka Zulu. The original one. I've watched the original one. And the part that I always tell my staff is where Shaka refuses to conform to how the war is fought. The general that is put under is very unhappy with it because he thinks it's out. Until the king says, no, give him, let him try what he wants. He's given a regiment of 50 men. And he starts training his hard. He reduces the spear from the long one and he makes a short stepping spear, which he calls an assegai. He creates a bigger shield. And he introduced the horseshoe for the formation of fight. One day when they're training and they're filing and sharpening their spears, one guy says, but why are we training so hard? And Shaka will say, in case there's a war. And the guy says, but what if there's no war? Shaka will say, we'll create the war. These are the leaders. I'm not talking about violence. These are the leaders. Leaders who change things. Leaders who create a system that changes the world.
They say a wise king must always avoid the war, but must always be prepared for one.
Exactly.
So can you see you? Okay, moving to the some final questions I'm having here. How are you dealing with first, before I get there, Region 5? What type of sports are you talking about? Do you restrict yourself to just football? Because was it yesterday? I was watching on the TV. I'm sure you know Zambia very well. We've been to Zambia. Zambia is one country that has enough water bodies. We don't even wish to say, okay, we should have the ocean, because we have that already. We have whatever. So when I'm flying on those water bodies, I see myself, why am I not having water games? I always talk about water games. When I look out there, people are surfing, these other countries, they just create these sprang of activities around these water bodies. And here we are in Africa, we don't utilize them, always just there is fishing using nets. And then the next question you're going to ask again is, how are you dealing with the disability, people with disabilities, the girls, the guys? I like the fact that sporting, I don't even have to be told, because I now know there are brains like you that are responsible for this. Females are now a factor in football now. It's no longer a feminine activity. So, answer me. The type of sports that you're restricted, is it by region, is it by country, is it by continent? Your actions on the people with disability aspects, how are they participating in Region 5?
So we're not restricted by anyone. We don't follow that.
Okay.
We set the standards.
Yes.
But we work with the communities and say what sports the communities want. And like I said, we have 23 confederations. That includes table tennis, badminton. The fact that the Region 5 games have got 10 sport codes, I don't mean we only work with 10 sports. Because now we work with some of these confederations going outside of the games to support them. Actually, our constitution states that we must establish a confederation, at least one confederation per year. So we are not restricted to a number of sports, including indigenous games. We're actually working now, we're starting with the city of Durban to create indigenous games. We even want a vision of indigenous games, where apart from us celebrating sports that you just mentioned, where football came from, we want other indigenous games to become global. Let them play in Europe or on Africa.
There's one country that's participating at the world stage.
Yes.
Rugby, cricket, what?
Yeah.
But in your country, Zimbabwe.
Yes, we do.
But not Zambia.
Yeah, but we are saying Zambia is indigenous games. When are we going to make our games acceptable as global games? Indigenous games.
What does it take?
It takes us to be organized. It takes us to be committed. It takes us to believe in ourselves as Africans. So we are not restricted in terms of sport codes. We support as many sport codes as people want to play. That is what government